Today, I want to discuss the emerging fields of work. The world of work is changing dramatically, and COVID-19 has helped accelerate those changes. There's more and more layoffs happening in today's world, and people are struggling to say, well, my job has disappeared. What am I going to do? Where do I go? So a lot of people are looking for jobs. So this is a question I have. So I want to discuss the emerging fields of work. And there's three areas I've discussed. First of all, a bit about the background, why this is happening, why all the changes, and some of the causes. And then some of the challenges that we face when looking for future jobs in the emerging workplace. And then some approaches that we can take, particularly if we're aware of the causes and the changes. What can a person do in this changing workplace? So most of the time we hear, oh, things are changing. We hear about, oh, the technology is impacting it. We hear about climate change that may impact us. But there's a lot more than that is impacting it. So I'd like to review with you today some of the drivers of change that are affecting the workplace. One example is young people around the world have a very high level of unemployment, and they are vying for jobs. For example, in Africa, even prior to COVID-19, the young population in some countries were unemployed at over 50% in some countries. And it's not only emerging markets and emerging countries like in Africa, for example, in Europe, there in some countries, I believe, Spain, Italy, and Greece, there were a very high percentage of unemployment among the younger generation. Another source that is impacting the workforce is around the world, women are aspiring more and more to gain economic power. So that's another impact on employment. And then trends. There's a lot of trends that are impacting different industries. Technology, obviously, such as what's happened in the transportation industry with Uber and those type of services, and Airbnb in the accommodation and hospitality industry. But there's also trade wars and tariffs that have happened, and that's impacting various industries as well. And then the sharing economy, where it's different sources now, like crowdsourcing to raise funds to start business and different type of investors available. So that's happening, that new companies are starting, and there's more and more people becoming entrepreneurs. And then, of course, robotics affecting many companies in manufacturing, and autonomous transport, which is pretty self-explanatory, but this is happening faster than we realize, especially with 5G coming out. Autonomous vehicles will impact truck drivers, taxi drivers, and including car insurance. So that is having an impact. And then, of course, the processing power that's increasing all the time. Big data and the amount of information that's becoming available is growing exponentially, at which big data is improving customer service and enhancing customer experience, and with target marketing and improving the efficiency of existing processes. So that's another impact. And then, of course, new energy supplies and technologies, the renewable sources, electric vehicles. For example, when electric vehicles become the majority of vehicles on the road, which appears to be happening, what happens to the auto mechanics? There's a field that's going to be impacted enormously. And then, of course, mobile internet and cloud technology. There's more and more internet access around the world. A good example of that is the Starlink low-level satellites that are being put up at the moment by Elon Musk's SpaceX. And it's been predicted that by the end of this year, early next year, some areas in the world, one country mentioned was Canada, would have internet access everywhere. And high-speed access will make a big difference, that you can be anywhere in the world and have access. And then, of course, the middle class is growing in emerging markets. Just look at what happened in the last a few decades in China, how many people have moved into the middle class, and other countries want the same. And people are living longer. So the aging society and older people sometimes are continuing to work into older age because they don't have the savings to retire. So that impacts the market. And then, of course, older people need care. And then the Internet of Things, where all items, including the appliances in your house and services, in manufacturing plants, all of the devices will be programmable and much smarter. And the geopolitical volatility. Just look what's happened recently in Belarus and Lebanon, and starting with Arab Spring. People are not accepting the status quo. So that's making changes. And then consumer ethics, privacy issues, more and more demands for ethical conduct, and of course, your own private information. Should it be shared? How's it going to be shared? How does that impact? And climate change, obviously, the natural resources that are being impacted. And it's becoming more and more apparent that more people as we see signs regularly, such as the fires that I saw in Australia when I was there in November, December, January. And of course, hurricanes and so on. In fact, according to the records, 17 out of the 18 warmest years on record have happened since the year 2001. So the changing nature of work as well, flexible work, more people working remotely, being able to work from home. And so those are some of the examples, 15 examples of what is driving the change. So some of the challenges that this is causing, it's changing our economics and our economies. Our politics are changing. Of course, business, and how we conduct business. Finance is changing. The workplace obviously is changing. Health is being affected, and even our biology is being affected. So what are we to do? This can all be confusing if we're out in the job market. It can be overwhelming. So let's look at some approaches that we can take, particularly if we become aware of the causes and changes. So increasing number of jobs are moving towards interacting with people, because those jobs are not easily replaced by technology. And so those jobs will flourish. So we'll look at some of those jobs, and the skills that are in higher demand will be social skills, such as persuasion, having emotional intelligence and being able to work and teach others. And understanding and applying a range of computer programs and software, and working with that technology and other applications such as active learning and cognitive abilities as well, the reasoning, active listening, critical thinking, creativity, those skills and jobs. So let's look at a few examples, because knowledge is strength, and Here's some potential jobs that will become more available in the next decade, for example. Disaster response, wildfires, floods, mudslides, hurricanes, but not only helping with the disaster recovery, but also monitoring, predicting, studying what's going on and what can be done. And then another area, because of all the technology, is digital detoxification, where people want to escape and get away from the negative impact of all the technology. So you'll have consulars, free Wi-Fi, technology-free zones, activities where to get away, tourism, etc., will be growth market. I had to throw in this picture. This guy looks something like me, and apparently he's in northern Sudan in the desert, where no Wi-Fi, no technology. And then, of course, 3D printing, being able to apply that. It's being used in many areas, not only from construction, and building homes and large buildings. In fact, I believe in China, they built buildings 3D printed them. And also medical. One of the young fellows in one of the youth groups that I work with was talking about biomedical, and they're able to print organs and tissues. And then working from home. You know, an example of that is, one good example is a company called Automatic. They're the people behind WordPress and other internet and web-based products. And if you look on their website, they say they're a distributed company with over 1,200 employees in 76 countries who speak 94 different languages. And they have no office space, no head office, no remote offices, people working from home. So that trend will definitely increase and cause, there's other jobs, for example, working on productivity applications to assist all those people, but flexible childcare and on-demand delivery, obviously for home delivery, and homeschooling tutors to assist, because people say, wow, we can do homeschooling, we're at home, the children are at home. It's something we should perhaps do and get some tutoring. And then refugees, not only from climate change and political change, but people having to move from where they live to somewhere else, and services to help them integrate into those new environments. And of course, other types of what I call refugees, from job refugees, people, jobs have disappeared. So the industry they're working at has been devastated. So help them negotiate the new job market. You'll have counselors, people to work with you. That's another aspect. And then addiction counselors to assist a lot of people who are finding it overwhelming. And then elderly care. Some of the older people will be working longer, but then they'll be living longer and need assistance. So there's opportunities for work in that area. And then trades, for example, trades where robots cannot replace the human skill set. And these are some of the examples. But often it's dealing with people, and in some cases with the technology that is being applied. But those people skills are important. So let's have a look at 3 steps that a person could take. The first step is connect. Connect with others. You cannot do this yourself. Find other like-minded people, people who are going through the same task as you, looking for jobs, and you can assist and share what you've done and what works and what doesn't work. Find people who've already made that transition, who could tell you what they've done, how they've discovered areas that may be able to assist you. So don't try and do this yourself. First step is connect with others. And when you connect, here's the point I'd like to make. It's one of my favorite pictures. It's a youth group that I work with here in Victoria and British Columbia in Canada. but it demonstrates diversity. And so when you connect with people, try and get diverse people. Here's an example of age group, for example, young and old working together. In this group, they're from ages 8 to 16. We work together, assist each other, and respect each other. Also, you'll notice they're from different backgrounds. You have a young lady with her headscarf. In fact, at one time in one of the meetings, someone brought in a world map and they stuck pins on where their families were from. It was remarkable. It was United Nations. But with different cultures, different backgrounds, different religions, working together, solving problems and respecting each other. And also another aspect in this picture is there's 16 young ladies and 10 young men. So men and women working together and respecting each other. So diversity is important. I cannot emphasize that. Help collaborate with each other, not compete. And diversity is strength and cooperation. So that's step one. Second step is solve or help people solve problems. What problems that you might be able to help solve? Because many jobs are about solving problems. And people hire someone to help solve a problem or buy from someone to help solve problems. So even if you have to take an interim job in the meantime while you're still looking, because we do need cash, and what can we do? Don't stop exploring how you may be able to assist to solve problems. Start maybe a side job, part-time job on the side, or as it's called nowadays, a side hustle. I know some people, for example, were in real estate and they started building websites in the real estate, and other people wanted their help. And they're moving out of real estate and moving into websites to help people solving their problems. So the world is full of a lot of opportunities with plenty of problems that need to be solved. And the third is probably the most challenging. In fact, it is the most challenging. It's now that you've looked at, go back and look at who am I connecting with? What problems can I solve? Now take action. So it's time to act. It's easy to do nothing and maybe complain and wait for someone else to come and help you. That could be daunting, be frustrating. But if you start taking baby steps, step outside of your comfort zone and take action. That's the most difficult thing you're ever going to do in your life, is to fail at something. And if you don't start failing at things, you'll not live a full life. So you have to do this hard thing, even though you're not prepared for it. And you have to be prepared to fail, even if it's just small baby steps, because that's how you're going to expand yourself and grow. And as you work through this process of failing and learning, you really deepen the human being that you're capable of being and help you find that job. So look where you are. Don't wait for someone. If you wait for the government or someone else, you could be waiting a long time. Become proactive. Be prepared to try something new or different. And as was mentioned by Robert Frost, take a different road because it will make a difference. So unemployment is up in the world. More people will be looking for jobs. And so to accommodate how you're going to cope with the emerging fields of work, remember those 3 steps. Connect with others. Don't try and do it yourself. 2, look at what problems you can solve and assist other people to solve problems. And 3rd is act. Take action. Don't wait for someone else. Connect, solve, and act.